We have a very robust system of oversight checking in on the child care centers across the state of Illinois. So what he's suggesting is redundant. And I don't think anybody in Illinois thinks that we ought to do what Elon Musk did to the federal government in the state of Illinois with something like Doge. Yeah, we do.
There's Governor Pritzker. He says he doesn't think anybody in Illinois. There's at least one person who thinks that we should. That would be me. I would like to Doge the crap out of the state of Illinois. As if there's no fraud. Governor Pritzker says everything's fine. We've got it covered. Yeah, I bet you do. Let's get to our guest. Don Tracy is in studio with us right now. He is a Republican candidate for the United States Senate seat that Dick Durbin is retiring from in the state of Illinois. Also senior counsel at Brown, Hay, and Stevens. On X at Don Tracy for Illinois for IL and Don Tracy for IL.com. Welcome back to the studio, Don. It's good to have you with us.
Good to be back, Annie.
So talk to me about your reaction there to the fraud contingent in the state of Illinois. Governor Pritzker says nothing to worry about. We got everything covered.
He says that about everything, every problem Illinois has, whether it's Illinois being awarded the highest taxing state in the country by Wallet Hub this week, or whether Illinois lagging almost every other state in recovering from the pandemic and being the last in almost every, and having the worst credit rating for our bonds. He always has a way to spin it. He is the best spinner I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
During the pandemic, there was $2 or $3 billion lost to IDES, unemployment insurance fraud, and he spun that. The reason for it was they lowered the guardrails because so many of their employees were working, away from the office, and there was a lot of volume there. And so that's not what I call a robust anti-fraud system when you lower the guardrails. Now we had this big fraud in Somalia that Nick Shirley picked up.
Yeah.
In the billions of dollars, and someone suggested a cartoon that would show the Minnesota fraud compared to Illinois would be Minnesota being the tip of the iceberg and Illinois below it, because we have so many more dollars and Illinois has been so lax for so long. For a while, for Medicaid, you have to have a certain amount of eligibility. I mean, the eligibility is Medicaid's supposed to go to the truly needy, people that cannot afford health insurance on their own for whatever reason. For a long time, the Illinois way of checking eligibility for Medicaid fraud was they would send a letter and say, according to our records, you are eligible for Medicaid. If this is incorrect, please advise. And then,
see, I told you, Governor Pritzker has a plan for everything. He's on top of it.
That's their way. It's kind of like their approach to voter ID. We don't need a voter ID fraud. The honor system is because nobody's going to really commit voter fraud. It's the same approach to all these welfare systems in Illinois. Same approach to food stamps. They think putting pictures on food stamps cards would be racist. It's like, I don't know that there's any guardrail that the Democrats would want in Illinois.
Yeah, well, they just really haven't had to have them. There's no pressure. There's no accountability in the state of Illinois with the supermajority of Democrats in the General Assembly. Of course, J.B. Pritzker, who is just a dream for the far-left progressive movement. He doesn't really have accountability in the state government. No Republicans elected statewide. Now, Dick Durbin announced his retirement from the United States Senate, and you have thrown your hat in the ring to earn the Republican nomination to try to win that seat. An Illinois senator that is a Republican. People forget that it's not been that long that we've had a Republican senator in Senator Kirk. What would you bring to the United States Senate on behalf of the Republican Party, but also the Democrats, who you'd be representing everybody?
I'll answer that in a minute, Annie, but I'm not ready to let go of this fraud issue because
Keep going.
It's a big issue. I mean,
Ryan Wiggins put you up to this, right?
Pritzker's had about, and I'm not running for governor, but I am running for Illinois senator, so I care about Illinois. That's why a lot of my friends have moved to Florida or Tennessee or other, economically boom states with no taxes. But I've decided to stay and fight. And it is a fight because every tax dollar that goes to fraud is a tax dollar that's not going to the truly needy and to building infrastructure, better roads and bridges and economic incentives for small businesses to grow and prosper. But another example of a more recent example of fraud in Illinois is with food stamps. Some 4 far-left Democrats recently introduced a bill to change food stamps from magnetic stripes to EBT, to like chip cards, basically.
Okay.
Because according to them, there have been 90,000 cases of food stamp fraud due to the technology, the low technology of Illinois, and that they can avoid the 90,000 fraud cases just by doing that. So if even the Democrats are admitting there's a fraud problem in the Pritzker administration, there must be.
Yeah, we spoke with Dustin Grage in the 12 o'clock hour, who is a grassroots reporter in Minnesota, and he's been, at the forefront of reporting on all the fraud that Nick Shirley, like you're talking about, has uncovered. And one of my questions to him in the 12 o'clock hour was like, is Minnesota going to get any of that money back? And he was like, probably not. But the amount of the magnitude of the benefit for the Minnesota taxpayer, but also the Illinois taxpayer, if the fraud stopped, you would think, my understanding is right now they're trying to push a progressive income tax on the people of the state of Illinois. Taxes will go up again. My understanding is also that they've never taken in more tax money. The tax burden in the state of Illinois has never been higher than it is right now. And we haven't met our financial burden in any way, shape, or form. It doesn't seem as though the problem is ever getting solved, but the proposed solution from the Democrats is we'll just tax them more.
We'll spend more, and then we will claim that our tax structure is out of whack, and we need more taxes. But here's what really shows that Illinois has a spending problem, not a tax problem. When Pritzker came into office 8 years ago, he inherited a $36 billion budget. His latest budget is $56 billion, $20 billion more in 8 years. If a wage earner was making $38,000 when Pritzker came into office, according to real wage growth, he would be making about $40,000. So real wages have gone up, from say $38,000 to $40,000. The state budget has gone from $36 billion to $56 billion. Yeah, so no wonder there's an affordability crisis. It's because the Democrats are spending too much, and then that, of course, causes inflation.
So what does it look like for a Republican to get into the Senate? Because it's a federal position. You elected statewide. We don't have any current statewide elected officials out of the state of Illinois who are Republican. So there recently hasn't been a precedent for it. What can you do for people in the state of Illinois if you were to bring and flip a very blue seat red?
Well, it will be a challenge flipping it. As you say, we haven't won since 2010, but that was an open seat, and we do have an open seat now. But it's really an important seat because of, as you mentioned, all the 8 statewide offices are held by Democrats, which is why we don't have a real check and balance. I mean, Illinois is totally a one-party state. A one-party state is an unhealthy state. There's fewer checks and balances, meaning more fraud. There's nobody to negotiate with over legislation. Obamacare is a good example of a really bad act. I call it the Unaffordable Care Act.
Right.
That passed without any Republican votes, any Republican input. And that's why there's so many problems and so much fraud in Obamacare. And that is one of the things that I plan to work on hard if I am elected as the new U.S. Senator from Illinois. And in Illinois now, like in the General Assembly, the Speaker of the House, they don't negotiate with Republicans over anything.
Talk to them.
They just negotiate with each other, and so you don't get any fair hearing for the problems with these bills.
Yeah.
And that's why there's so much wrong with Illinois, and that's why there's so much corruption in Illinois too. I mean, a one-party state's not a healthy state, but it's also a more corrupt state. Illinois policy says that over the last 40 years, 2,000 Democrat Chicago politicians have been convicted. It's an average of about one per week.
It's outrageous.
And there's still lots more of them.
And did they get them all?
No, they don't have them all. Yeah.
Haven't got them all yet.
Yeah.
Still work to do.
But back to your original question, I ran for lieutenant governor in 2010, so I got to know Mark Kirk pretty well, and he's endorsed me. In fact, every Republican legislator in Illinois, including all 3 congressionals, Congressman Bost, Congressman Miller and Congressman LaHood, that have endorsed in this race. And there's been, the majority of them have endorsed. I don't know, over 30. They've all endorsed me in this race. So anyway, it's an open seat, and that's first time since 2010. I've run against an incumbent. Incumbents are hard to beat because of their sky high name ID, their constituent services for 4 or 8 years, and they have a polished statewide political organization. And with an open seat, you don't have that. Plus, they're running what I call Team B on the other side. They're running people like the lieutenant governor, like 2 congressionals from Chicago that really are not well known, certainly before this race, statewide, like a statewide office holder would be, and didn't have a statewide operation. That's the second reason why we have a shot at this. The third reason is that those three, the 3 leading candidates on the other side, are running a very hard primary, and they're having to go hard left. All the energy in the Democrat Party of Illinois, and probably nationally, is in their far left base, as we have seen from all the protests and against ICE and against the Israelis and against whatever excuse there is to protest. They're out in force, so whoever wins that primary is going to have to win that far left vote, and that means they're going to take some really hard positions. And I'll share a couple with you in a minute.
I was in Arlington Heights this weekend for the Lutheran State basketball tournament. It was a very exciting weekend for our family. And we were in Arlington Heights, in Roselle, Palatine, Lombard, all up there, just driving all over the place. And we were inundated with these ads for people running for that Senate seat. And every commercial break was all Democrat primary Senate ads. And they're slap fighting back and forth. And I'm going to tell you this, Don Tracy is speaking with us right now, running for the Republican nomination. The biggest thing that every single ad had was how much they could tie their opponent to Donald Trump. It wasn't even policy-based. It was, this person takes MAGA money. Like, MAGA is the worst possible thing that somebody could be. I want to ask you a little bit more. Will you stay for another segment?
Sure.
Okay, well, let's take a quick break. Ryan's got a question as soon as we come back as well. 314-241-9797. If you want to text us your thoughts as well, you can comment on the YouTube channel. We want to learn more about Don Tracy. He's the leading candidate for the Republican primary U.S. Senate seat from the state of Illinois to replace Dick Durbin. Boy, what a flip that would be. I think it's a highly interesting race, and don't let anyone tell you that these seats are guaranteed blue, because that attitude will make it guaranteed blue if you want to get in there and participate in the grassroots movement to show everybody that Illinois would like to take a different direction. Start paying attention right now. To learn more about Don Tracy for IL.com, Tracy, Tracy, Don Tracy for IL.com. More with him in just a minute. Don't go away. Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. In studio right now with candidate for the Illinois Senate seat, the United States Senate, Republican candidate Don Tracy is with us right now. Ryan, you had a question you wanted to go ahead and ask Don. Go ahead.
Don, you're going to have to win some crossover voters, at least get some good turnout from Republicans and some crossover if that's going to happen. But what is one issue, maybe what is the issue that you're hitting that is resonating with people, bringing them over either from Democrat or Independent to your side to vote for you?
Well, the number one issue is cost of living. The Democrats actually say that's the number one issue from their side, and they call it affordability. Because the cost of living has risen so much compared to real wage growth. And the reason it's risen so much is that under Biden, inflation reached a 40-year historic high. As some say, it was at least 20% during Biden, and 20 to 30% is what some people say. So when you take 20% and you add that to the cost of virtually everything, and you have real wage growth, and in the area of maybe 2% or 3% like that, pretty soon the average Illinoisan is having trouble making their budget meet. And you might say, okay, well, why Republicans and Democrats agree that that's the issue. So how are they different? Well, The Democrat solution to cost of living is like their approach to the Unaffordable Care Act, subsidies, more government spending. You just paper up the problem, cover it up with more government spending. And what does that do? That increases inflation. And it's a vicious circle. They don't really work to reduce the cost of living. In fact, everything Democrats do increases the cost of living. It's either, spending obviously does that. Their war on traditional, affordable, reliable energy has increased the cost of energy, which includes the shutting down of power plants in my hometown of Springfield and elsewhere down here before the end of their useful life. The taxes, 49 new taxes under Pritzker. And then, of course, they love old taxes, too, because they like to increase those.
I just love taxes.
And they're trying to, go for a progressive tax in Illinois. And that taxes are a cost of living increase. Property taxes are like I think we have the highest now in the entire country, and that's partly why we have an affordability issue with housing. We have all these complaints in New York and the big blue cities like Chicago about housing affordability, but when you bring in 10 to 20 million illegal aliens that are unhoused by definition, and you already have a housing shortage, what is that going to do to housing rents? It's going to increase it.
Don Tracy in studio with us right now. He's running for Illinois' seat in the United States Senate. He needs to win the primary. A reminder that you can go vote right now. You're listening right now. You like Don Tracy, you can go cast your ballot early because we basically start voting at Christmas. That's an exaggeration, but only by a little bit. Early voting is open. You can go cast your ballot at this point, but you have to do it by March 17th. So please participate in the process. A question that I have for you, a big issue facing the Senate right now, the president, President Trump, has said that he's not going to sign anything until the SAVE Act reaches his desk. The SAVE Act, or as Senator Eric Schmidt, who has adopted me, as he's currently my favorite senator, Don Tracy. So if you get elected, you will have to give him a run for his money. But he wants the Save America Act. He wants.
Is that just because he's so tall?
He's just an incredible guy. He's been wonderful. He's a great senator. Yes. The Save America Act wants to restore accountability in voting, voter ID, among other things, clean voter rolls, something Illinois said they don't want nothing to do with. Would you vote in favor of the Save America Act?
100%. Why? How could anybody really be against having to provide proof of citizenship when you register to vote? Now, the Democrats are trying to conflate that and suggest that means you have to prove citizenship every time you vote. That's not true. You only have to prove citizenship when you first register to vote. And how could anybody really be against voter, proving who you are when you vote with a voter ID? Who doesn't have a government issued?
Do you believe the Democrats are against it because there is cheating that is involved, or that there are people who are not citizens that are voting, and that would hurt the Democrat Party?
Let me answer it this way. There is no legal justification for opposing voter photo ID. The only justification you ever hear them talk about is voter suppression. They claim there's someone living alone in a hermit cave on the top of North Carolina that doesn't have a government-issued ID, and that will suppress that voting. The real voting they're worried about suppressing is I don't think, what else could you be worried about? Because it does suppress illegal voting.
Yeah.
But tough.
That's the whole point of it.
Exactly.
That's why we're doing it.
See now.
It's an 80-20 issue.
Yeah.
I mean, with the Democrats, by a majority of Democrats support it. It's just the Democrat politicians that oppose voter ID.
Yeah. As we're speaking right now, I've only got about a minute left here, but we've got a Juliana Stratton hate ad up there. Takes money from MAGA donors.
They're spending millions against each other. I hope they spend it all.
Yeah, right.
Get it going right now. Don Tracy in here with us. Don Tracy, TRACY for IL.com is the website to learn more, to support him. You need to go vote by March 17th with less than a minute to go here, potentially. Senator.
Well, I like the sound of that.
Yeah. What do you got to do to win? I mean, it's a tough putt, but it's not. You're on the green.
Well, they say that to win the general, I first have to win the primary. So
that is the way it goes.
That's what I'm focusing on right now. Assuming I win the primary, and I am the favorite to win, but there's no guarantee of that.
Yeah.
We're going to run through the tape.
Got to count the ballots
hard every day to win it. I've got to run a great campaign. And I've got to raise a lot of money from small and large donors to show the nationals that I have a competitive campaign in order to get national help, because this will be a multi-million-dollar campaign. I can self-fund to a limited extent, enough to build a really good team, but I can't do it by myself. Mm-hmm. So I've got to run a really great campaign, raise a lot of money, and then get the Nationals to come in and
You're
help.
competing to win.
Absolutely. I'm playing to win.
Playing to win.
I'm not doing this for the hell of it.
Yeah, it's way too much work, way too much grief. Thank you for being here. Thank you for coming to Southern Illinois. I know you've got some events lined up that we're going to turn you over to. Don Tracy, please come back. There's still time between now and March 17th. We'd love to know how it's going.
Will do. It's always a pleasure to be on your show, Annie. Thanks for all you're doing for public education of an informed electorate.
Well, we are grateful for the opportunity to do so. Don, Tracy, Don Tracy for IL.com. We'll be right back.